All right, what's up everybody? We'll go ahead and get started here in just a moment. If you can go ahead and hear, well, if you can hear me and if you can also see the stream in 1080p, as well as if you can rewind the stream. Just give us a thumbs up in the chat and we will get started shortly. This is a pretty awesome view of 432 Park Avenue from across the street. We're quite literally standing directly under 425 Park Avenue. This is the temporary headquarters of the temporary home of Citadel. However, they will be building their massive office tower at 350 Park Avenue quite soon to compete with Jamie Dimon's 270 Park. But I always love this view right here on the corner of East 56th Street. This building is just so amazing, particularly when you could see it, right? The last two nights you couldn't even see it. It was so windy and rainy and nasty. But if you can't rewind, just go ahead and refresh your browser and you should be good. We'll get started here in just a moment, everybody. Thanks for joining. All right, let's go ahead and get started here, everybody. So good evening and welcome back to Walks and Wall Street. Today is Thursday. It is April 4th, 2024. The time is 9:20 p.m. Eastern Time and we are reporting live from Midtown Manhattan. We're on the corner of East 56th Street and Park Avenue. Across the street is 432 Park. Looks absolutely gorgeous today. We're currently standing on the corner at 425 Park Avenue. Now there's a lot to talk about tonight. We had a lot of unfortunate news, I would say, from a geopolitical perspective. We have tensions absolutely ramping up in the Middle East, unfortunately, between Israel and now Iran. No surprise that crude oil is up yet again. Crude is trading around $86 a barrel. Intraday, we were on the upper end of $87 a barrel crude. Now, what is the market trying to tell us, right? So again, I think it's important to review. We have crude oil making a monster move headed into the very busy spring and summer season. We have precious metals, gold in particular trading at new all-time record highs and into new 52-week highs. We have platinum, palladium, and silver, particularly silver, trying to break out of its space. So a lot of cash is going into commodities. A lot of cash is going into precious metals. And we're just starting to get a little bit of a bid in the VIX. Yes, that's right. The CBOE Volatility Index was up 14% today after staying pretty dormant, up to about 16.34 for the VIX. So after so many consistent weeks, I mean, if you go look at a weekly chart of the S&P 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, or the NASDAQ, ever since the October lows, since we've just sort of been cooking in a new all-time record highs almost every day, we've been talking about market hitting record high, we finally have a little bit of volatility kicking in. Now today, particularly on the S&P and the NASDAQ 100, this is mostly visible on the triple Qs, so QQQ, We had a pretty nasty bearish engulfing candle with some significant pickup in volume. If you look at that candle today, it took out about 13 days of price action in one day. Now we'll talk about why. We also heard from Neel Kashkari, who is the Fed president in Minnesota. So we're going to talk about what he said today, which I actually tend to agree with what Neel Kashkari said today. And I'm sure many of you do too. So we're going to get into that. Tonight may be a shorter than normal live stream, just to let you know. I have to be up very early tomorrow. I got to head to the airport, flying out of LaGuardia. We will be going to Boston. So there will be no live stream tomorrow, unfortunately. There will be no stream on Saturday or Sunday. However, on Monday, we will be reporting live from downtown Miami and Brickell, and we will be staying there for about a week. So you'll get to see Brickell, you get to see downtown Miami, and you may even get to see Palm Beach. I have a few meetings up in West Palm Beach, so stay on the lookout for that. So let me go ahead and close up the laptop here, everybody. I'll say hello to everyone in the chat, and let's take a walk around Sutton Place again and check out that park. Research all of our stock market research. We write a bi-weekly research piece called Behind the Street. If you want to subscribe to our Substack, just scan the QR code on the screen or type !news, NEWS, in the chat, and the Nightbot will link, or drop the link, I should say, to the one and only Behind the Street newsletter. Check it out. So I'm going to go ahead and close up the laptop, and we'll get started here in just a moment. Thanks so much for joining. And guess what, guys? Breaking news. It's not raining in New York. Can you believe it? Kind of nuts, right? Somebody's asking, what is that big building behind the Phillips little cube there? Well, I'm glad you asked. This is one of the most luxurious apartment buildings, not only in New York City, but in the entire world. It is 432 Park Avenue. Now, the developer on it is Harry Macalo. He owns about 3 units in this building as well. It's one of the tallest residential towers in the world, and one of the many Billionaires Row-esque buildings that we have right here in New York City. Now, Harry Macalo also is responsible for the largest office to condominium conversion in New York City's history. That is at 1 Wall Street, right across the street from a Trinity Church, as well as the New York Stock Exchange. All right, I always love this shot looking down Park Avenue here. Every time I walk down Park Avenue at night, I just feel very classy. I feel like you're looking at a movie, right? The cool thing about Park Avenue is it runs also, you can go southbound, but you can also go northbound too. Now, this building here is the 270 Park, which is the JP Morgan Chase mega tall tower. But in this vacant lot is going to be 350, Park, where that is going to be the new Citadel Securities office tower. And Citadel is going to occupy 54 floors in that building. When we're down in Miami, we're also going to take a walk around their site, which hasn't broke ground yet, but you can see the site right on Brickell Avenue, I believe. And that is going to be another super tall tower by Ken Griffin. So lots of stuff going up, for sure. David Lee, what's going on? Oh Wise Owl, Austin City Limits. Hey, Trade Brigade, what's going on, man? I'm sure you were enjoying the volatility today. Natalie says, oh wow, I am from West Palm Beach. Love the live streams. Yeah, I'm happy. I'm very, very excited to be back in Miami. I'm really gonna try to take 2 or 3 days just to kind of do nothing, just to kind of chill. I mean, we've been grinding like crazy here in New York. So this is the Ferrari showroom, right on the corner of 55th and Park. Very strategically placed. Tariq Khan says, Tom, my 6-year-old kid, Alexander, says, dude, what's going on, Alexander? Appreciate it. Oh, Tariq, by the way, I missed your donation, so I appreciate your very generous and kind donation the other day. I missed it. Maybe my phone died. Hey, Dario says, yeah, no rain at last. Oh my God, the sun was out. It was almost kind of weird looking at the sky and seeing a beautiful blue sky with the sun. It was almost, I kind of forgot what it looked like, so it was nice today. Travel news to Richard Vogel and Meld. What's up? All right, guys, let's jump right into it because it may be a shorter than normal stream tonight because I got to get up early. I got to fly to Boston. So thoughts about what we heard from one of our illustrious Fed presidents, Neil Kashkari. Now, a lot of people are crucifying him, right? Not literally, verbally, but I actually kind of agree with him, right? He said there is a very, very big possibility for no rate cuts in 2024, particularly almost a certainty that there's not going to be one in June. Now, the interesting thing, if you go to the CME Group Fed Watch tool, there's no change in probability or likelihood that there won't be a cut or will be a cut in June over the summer. But essentially, Neil Kashkari was saying a lot of the things that we've been saying here on the stream, all of us collectively, that the economy is running very well, right? The economy is doing good in the United States. Unemployment remains at record lows, which we're actually going to get an update on that tomorrow, I believe, Friday. We're going to get the new unemployment rate for the United States. And, you know, to use his words, they want to see more evidence that inflation is actually coming down. I love this lobby. This is 399 Park Avenue. It's a very classic, older style lobby here on Park, but I think it looks pretty good. I like it. But essentially, he's saying that he wants to see more evidence that inflation is actually coming back down to that 2% target, kind of echoing what Fed Chair Jerome Powell said when he was speaking at Stanford University. This is almost a little bit flip-floppy, totally different than what the Fed Chair said at the FOMC meeting. So who knows, maybe he was gaslighting the market, maybe he wasn't, maybe he's actually having a change of heart. However, I think it would be quite foolish that should everything remain the same, right? Particularly with crude oil cooking here, $87 a barrel today, intraday, major move in energy. We'll talk about why. Lots of interesting things in the geopolitical world going on. But I think it would be very short-sighted to cut in June. I think that would be no bueno. Mr. 007, what's up? Good to see you. MD says, I mean, it would be irresponsible to cut rates at the moment. Totally agree. Totally agree. It's almost like you have this magic elixir, and we're going to make this left here by the Seagram building. This is one of my favorite buildings in all of New York City. 375 Park, the beautiful Seagram. But it's almost like we have an interesting magic elixir going on here with crude oil or energy in particular, and not really in a good way. I know sometimes it can come off as I'm talking about it in a good way because we're saying, hey, crude is hitting new highs and we're long energy and all this stuff. But, you know, you have real hiccup this week, unfortunately, in tensions between now Israel, and not Palestine, but Iran, and that is not good. So there's no wonder why you're getting a little bit of follow through in crude here. Now, if there's anything material that happens, again, I'm not an expert in geopolitics, okay? But if there is a material strike on Israel from Iran, I mean, you could see some really wild action, not only in the equity market, right, but in crude oil. I mean, you could have crude back to $100 a barrel in no time. Joe B says we trimmed back a few days ago, thinking the bull market is over. The bull market is over. I wouldn't go that far. Just say the bull market is over. It's one day of price action. But I get it. I mean, everybody has their different opinions. I mean, guys, you also have to realize, as we're looking at 432 Park Avenue here, here's the thing. A lot of people were freaking out today, like a lot. I was kind of monitoring Twitter. And if you go on a weekly time frame, let me cross the street, make sure I don't get hit by a car. If you go on a weekly time frame of the S&P 500, the Dow, and the NASDAQ 100, since the lows, that handle, we've been up in a straight line every week. Every week. I mean, if you just do an audit of our kind of live streams here, I feel like they've been getting redundant just because it's like, S&P 500, a new record high today. You know, Triple Q's a new record high today. This stock busting out new record highs. So to cool off and get a correction, I mean, corrections happen. We wrote about this, and I may have to repost this article because I think it was a good article. It was all about the history of cyclical bull and bear markets and how many intermediate term bulls you have in a cyclical bull and how many corrections you have or in a traditional bull market. And what are the durations, right? Because there's really two types of corrections. You could have duration, right? How long, and then you could also have price. So markets correct in both time and price. But yeah, so I would say that the bull is still alive and well, but you're going to get pullbacks and corrections within secular bull markets. We're gonna head over to the east side, but we'll just give you one more shot of 270 Park here. Rocky Rocks, what's going on? And a lot of this stuff is extended too. Optimus 17 says, Tom, congratulations to my alma mater, Seton Hall. Wow, for winning the NIT championship in men's basketball. Oh, congratulations, that's fantastic. Nice. That's cool. Now, did you guys notice some interesting price action, kind of a decoupling here in a select few asset classes? Usually, or I'd say historically, right, assets like Bitcoin are very, very highly correlated to high beta and high octane stocks, right? So chances are for the longest time, you know, when you would have all the SaaS stocks, for example, right? High beta, high growth, when those would be in gear, you would also have Bitcoin in gear rocking in the highs. Today, I mean, if you looked at a heat map of the market, right, almost every single sector was down, except for like a few things. I think the only mega cap tech stock that was green on the day, I think, was Meta. Also, Tesla was up today, but Tesla's just been getting creamed. Tesla's been getting its clock, like, just terrible performance in Tesla. But also, Bitcoin was rallying today. And if you pull up a 50-day moving average on the daily chart of Bitcoin, it looks like we're just consolidating nicely and touching that 50-day. And it looks like we're going to have a little gap and go on Bitcoin. So Peter says, Tom, oil tanker rates are also rising as well. Joel PM says, quite some action in the VIX today, some 22% swing. Yeah, the VIX ended up, what, 14% at 16, like 16 and a quarter for the VIX. Random users, Tom, what are your thoughts on the Schwarzman brothers pleading guilty on insider trading with Trump media? I don't even know what that is, to be honest. I know what Trump media is, but I don't know what a Schwarzman brother is. This is an awesome shot looking down Lexington at the Chrysler Building. It's almost like I don't recognize the city tonight with no rain. Crazy, right? This is the 51st Street station. Get it uptown. We're gonna crush all the way to the east side. I want to go to Sutton Place again. I really enjoyed Sutton Place. I know you guys really like Sutton Place, as well as that new East River Park. Stormy Weather 21, thank you so much. This has just found your channel today, and you instantly look into my office lobby. That's so funny. Well, we work close to each other. We're pretty much neighbors. I'm right there on 57th Street and Madison, right on the corner, 575 Madison. Man, this definitely a pungent smell here. Yeah, Tariq Khan. The upper range of crude, right, if you look at futures, ticker symbol CL, I believe is right at $92. You know, and I'm not saying like I'm rooting for this, but I think we need to be realists here. And again, not a geopolitical expert, but it's not looking all too good in the Middle East. Now Iran is kind of getting involved in this conflict, or might, I should say. They're making threats. They put out this terroristic kind of like propaganda video. Now that's going to be a major problem for the United States if Iran enters this war between Israel and Hamas. And potentially the recent price action in crude oil could unfortunately be forecasting that. I don't think it gets to that point, because I mean, then you can kind of almost signify that as World War III in a way, right? If Iran gets roped into the mix, I think that will kind of send signals to other world leaders to kind of push even harder on the things that they're trying to do. Hint, hint, Russia and Ukraine, which could be why we're seeing this flight to safety with gold, silver, right? Again, gold at $2,300 an ounce. New all-time record highs on a multi-decade, really almost a multi-generation move here in precious metals. This is the Sutton Place Synagogue. I remember when I was a teenager, I went to an event here. I was doing a project on the NYPD, and I went to one of the community council meetings. I had to do like a book report, and it was right there, Sutton Place Synagogue. I haven't walked down here in a long time. Malcolm says, I see Mr. Trump's stocks are plummeting. Yeah, I mean, not to be curt and blunt, I wouldn't even pay attention to that nonsense, right? That's all. It's just like, why are you even paying attention to it? You know, if you're managing money, if you're getting real risk on in this market, you shouldn't even allocate any mental capital to that. It's not a real company. I looked into it. The thing does $3 million in revenue. It's like, okay, next, like it's trading at 1,000x revenue. Like, okay, like it's a non-starter. It's just not even worth talking about. Not to be smug, but I mean, you know, the preservation of mental capital in this game is important too. You know, if it goes from 3 million in revenue per annum to 30 million, okay, then let's, you know, kind of pay attention. But it's a non-starter. It's a SPAC. It's nonsense, and it's stupid. All right. Man, some of these full floor condos here are nice. Can you guys imagine having like a full floor unit here? You're looking directly into the Chrysler building. This guy's blocking the whole street. What's going on with this guy? What do you mean? Imagine having a full floor unit there. Insane. Peter's like the draining of our petroleum reserves earlier has caused some of the underground caves to become structurally unsound to store more oil. Really? I didn't know that. I didn't even know that was a thing. Interesting, Peter. I think we were talking about this last night, and I don't think I got to finish my thought. I remember because, I don't know, it was way too windy and rainy. But everybody was really getting on his case about these strategic petroleum reserves back in March of 2022. This is the spire of the Chrysler building here. This is the Smith, a lot of outdoor dining. This is a fun neighborhood in the summer. A lot of like finance interns, like college kids, frequent this neighborhood, hang out. But the interesting thing is, you know, we were low on our strategic petroleum reserves back in March of 2022, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, you know, the Biden administration is going to have to fill it up at $130 a barrel," right? Remember that? The reason why I remember this is because I remember it very vividly, and I wrote an article about this in the Behind the Street newsletter. And there were all of these different articles, all these different political pundits. I mean, sorry, not political pundits, I apologize. Financial pundits coming out here and saying, you know, Goldman Sachs top oil traders saying that crude oil is going to go to $200 a barrel. You know, XYZ analysts on Wall Street saying crude is going to go to $300 a barrel, and all these nonsensical articles coming out about how high the price is going to go. And I said, yeah, that you can call it a day. It's going to be a secular bear market for crude oil. And to that day, I remember it, at night, crude was rocking to 130, and that was our blow off top at $130 a barrel. So if you look at the futures contract, ticker symbol CL for crude, you go back to a weekly time frame, you'll look, March of 2022, guess where we blew off? 130. And then we corrected all the way down, I think to, what was it? Like 65 something? Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is we had all of that time to fill up at bottom of the barrel prices. But now it's very possible we're entering a new bull market in energy, in crude specifically. So this actually could have been the trade of a lifetime for President Biden, right? Waiting till a near 50% crash in the price of crude to fill us up. But I guess that never materialized. We'll see what happens. Look, do I want $100 a barrel crude? No, nobody does. But I think we need to be realistic here. I believe that if these tensions in the Middle East, please God, they die down, then I think the market will price that in, and maybe we'll see extremely lower prices. However, it's like a magic elixir here, because we have the spring and the summer coming. So that means demand for crude, demand for gasoline is going to go up, right? People are going to be out traveling, people are going to be going on vacation, right? We've talked about, just here in New York, we are expecting the most tourist travel in the city's history this year. So all while we have this massive flare up in the Middle East. So hopefully one of those two rectifies itself. I don't think it's going to be the growth. I think we're still going to grow and have a raging spring and in the summer for travel. But let's hope this situation in the Middle East dies down. That's really all we could pray for. Hey, NBA Elias, what's up? Good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. See Soho Joe. I get my suits dry cleaned right here. And the one, it's either this one or the one that's in 106 Central Park South. Okay, 2nd Avenue East 54th. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Any comments on the current situation in crude oil, or, you know, what's going on in the Middle East? Do we think this is going to die down and we're going to get a big reversal? Because a lot of this stuff is getting overbought here. This is the Lipstick Building, for those of you who are unfamiliar. This is where Bernie Madoff ran his Ponzi scheme, right from that building there. It's called the Lipstick Building. Hey, Tariq Khan says Iran is the woke mouse, USA is the sleeping monster. They don't want anything, hopefully. Ronix says oil is going much higher, just my opinion. NBA Alliance's equities may be in a small correction ahead of next week's earnings reports. Yeah, I mean, you know, today was a massive, what I like to call bearish engulfing, where one day's price action took out about 13 trading days. So, Trade Brigade's technicals say rage on if we hold 86 tomorrow. Retest for demand. Old Wise Owl says Iran is being funded by China. Speaking about China, China had a follow-through day about 2 weeks ago. Darius says I think oil is going up, just maybe. Two Real Freedom. Didn't Ford recently come out and say they're going to double down on their hybrid vehicle production and cut back on their traditional EVs? I swore I read that today. DA says, hey Tom, record 3-inch plus rainfall yesterday. It was insane. Hopefully we never have rain like that again this year. I mean, we've had more rain than I can remember. Sick of the rain, man. Today was actually a pretty nice day in the city, not gonna lie. Because it's not really like it's like a little bot I made that alerts me when certain keywords. Trade Brigades is, yeah, I think I did read that on CNBC actually. I don't know, I was like half paying attention today. But, well, here's the thing, Trade Brigade. I read something wild. Like, for every EV Ford sells, they lose like something like $25,000. So the EV business is not a lucrative business at all. It's a massive loser for Ford. Like a massive, massive loser. That's not a profitable business whatsoever. This is an awesome shot of 432 Park. Sarah says, Tom, yes, Ford is going hybrid because they can't sell EVs. I mean, Sarah makes a good point. You know, you also now have to compete with, who's the, sorry, I'm blanking on the name, guys. Sarah, who is the Chinese EV manufacturer that is pretty much undercutting everybody and gaining market share? BYD, right? BYD? I mean, to compete with that, Tesla can compete with that, but there's no way Ford can compete with that. There's no way. They're just not going to make any money. Yeah, Trade Brigade, exactly. BYD, the Chinese EV company. There was a good interview with Elon Musk talking about the auto industry. I wish I had the link to it. I would share with you guys. This is 57th Street. This is looking directly down New York City's Billionaires Row. If you look closely, you could see the skinniest residential apartment building in the entire world. It's called the Steinway Tower. It's 111 West 57th Street, and just behind that is 157, which was the first building ever constructed on New York City's Billionaires Row. Joe B says the problem with EV sales is the lack of charging stations. Joe, I agree with you totally. And I'll tell you a quick story. It's a little bit off topic, but not really. It kind of goes along with what Joe is saying here. So we are selling individual parking spaces in Manhattan. We're selling them for about $175,000. And a lot of the people who have been, number one, who have been buying these spaces and who have been inquiring about them, there's been a common factor. Almost all of them have EVs. And they said, hey, we just bought a Tesla. New York City is getting rid of a lot of the parking spaces on the street. And now you have the congestion pricing. we want to buy a spot, but we want to have the ability to put an EV charging station in my spot. Problem is, we didn't account for that at all. So the sponsor, who's the developer, had to spend like $50,000 to rewire the entire garage to account for all of these EV chargers, because we just couldn't have the capacity to. It would have blew the whole garage. So you're correct. If you have a Tesla in New York City, there's almost nowhere to charge them. Now, look at all these vehicles you see here. All these taxi cabs, all these buses. I mean, there's thousands of cars that drive around Manhattan every day. Could you imagine if all of them were EVs? Could you imagine if even 20%, which is a huge number, were EVs? The place would be total pandemonium because there's not enough infrastructure to support it. So if the government really wants to make this EV reality, we're going to need the charging infrastructure to support it, particularly in major cities. I couldn't even tell you where the closest EV charging station is. I think there's a few freestanding ones on the Upper West Side. I know there's some out by JFK Airport. Any New Yorkers in the chat know where the closest EV charging station is here? Like on the east side of Manhattan? I don't even know, to be honest. Joby says our condo building hasn't provided chargers in our garage yet. Ali Star says even diesel vehicles are disastrous in the cold weather. Joel PM says an EV is an expensive diaper. Feels good. Feels good now, but good looks selling a used one. Well, the problem with that, I think, Joel PM, maybe what you're referring to, I won't put words in your mouth. Current Tesla owners have been absolutely getting their clocks cleaned by Elon Musk. Why, you ask? Well, Elon's been cutting prices. Now, he needs to do this, right? Short-term pain for long-term gain to compete with the likes of BYD and all those other auto OEMs. Because if you want a mass market product, it's going to need to be affordable, right? I was blown away. Hold on, I just want to show you guys where we are. So we're now at 57th Street and First Avenue. This is the Sutton Place wine shop. We are going to head all the way to Sutton Place now, which pretty much here. We're going to check out Sutton Place Park, and then we're going to go down to about 53rd Street and head on to that new park. Hey, what's going on? Ken Brockton says Secretary Pete pointed year-over-year EV sales are increasing. Well, hopefully I'll be adding to that soon. I've always said I wanted a Tesla. Maybe not a Cybertruck. Ken, I saw a Cybertruck in person in North Miami Beach, and the thing almost didn't even look real. The pictures and the video doesn't do it justice. It's a massive truck. No way is that going to be doable in New York City. You would never be able to find parking for that. Even if you have a garage, the garages probably wouldn't even take it because the thing is so massive. Robert says no EV crap for me. I actually like EVs a lot. I don't have any hate for EVs. I'm just, kind of reporting the news. But it is true that EVs are a massive money loser for Ford. But again, long term, Elon Musk wants to have his product more readily available for everybody. Also, you have to take into account the interest rate environment we're in, right? A lot of times we talk about interest rates and we say so equity focused here, and we say stay so real estate focused on the stream that we could forget about everything else. I mean, what about auto loans? If you're trying to purchase a vehicle and you need financing, that's pretty expensive. I mean, not pretty expensive, really, really expensive. So that is probably in the decision-making, I should say the decision-making process, kind of that Elon Musk was walking through. Because if you're going to finance a new Tesla, That's a lot of interest you need to pay, particularly in this environment. So the price cuts come at a good time. The only thing that's unfortunate is it puts a lot of current Tesla owners underwater, like almost immediately. Joe B says today, I believe hybrids make more sense in the city. I think I agree. Troy Atman says, Tom, you need an EV Vespa. Sarah says you can't tow a boat with an EV. I think you can. You can definitely tow a boat with a Cybertruck. Now, I'm not an engineer or anything. Tariq says, Tom, I feel like you should host a debate on this EV versus oil. I don't know if I'm qualified, honestly, but hey, I'm down. I would. Like, I'm not an EV hater. I think they're pretty cool. If anything, EVs are so much faster than traditional ICE engines. Again, I'm not an engineer, but from what I was reading, EVs are much faster because they don't burn off a lot of that horsepower in the engine. You know, the horsepower goes directly to the wheels because there's nothing, a lot of the power isn't being wasted or burned off in the engine. It just goes boom right to the wheels. A little bit of a segue. Did anybody see that Elon Musk Dom Lemon interview the other day? Now, Dom Lemon was asking him, and when I mean him, I mean asking Elon Musk about the new Tesla Roadster. And he was like, is it true that the new Tesla Roadster is going to have a combination of SpaceX and Tesla collaboration? And Elon Musk really didn't want to give away everything, but I think Dom Lemon did kind of a good job of like prying the info out of him. Apparently it's going to go 0 to 60 in like 1.2, 1.3 seconds, something wild. I don't even know how that's possible, but it's going to have a SpaceX turbo engine potentially in it. I don't know. I think that's a little overkill. Not gonna lie, guys, when we passed by those gentlemen there, I was freaking out a little bit. I think that's probably some billionaire entourage. I think those guys were locked and loaded. Well, they are nice townhouses right here. All right, Sutton Place Park. Malcolm, what's up? All right, NBA Elias, Tom, the city of Manhattan in New York has 46 public charging stations, level 2 and level 3. Well, that's actually a lot less than I was expecting. All right, guys, Sutton Place Park, what do you think? Beautiful, beautiful views again. Always love coming here. Now, if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. I know we toured Sutton Place earlier in the week, but I like it. It's nice. This strip of townhomes is gorgeous. You have your own private driveway in Manhattan. Look at that. So you have your own private driveway, your own private backyard overlooking the East River and the 59th Street Bridge all the way to Queens. Hey Joey, what's up? This is just tuning in. We're checking out Sutton Place Park one more time. I'm gonna have to film a daytime tour here just so you guys can see. Maybe I'll do that right at sunrise. But you have good views all the way to Long Island City and downtown Brooklyn. Hey, Abdullah, what's up? This is that park again that we were checking out the other day. Yeah, Dario says it's like private property, like Gramercy Park, which I love. We have some interesting listings over by Gramercy Park. If you guys want to see a property tour of one of our listings, it's actually sold now, so it's off the market. If you type !23 in the chat, !23, that was one of our listings. Very, very close to Gramercy Park. Beautiful location. Right on the corner of 23rd and Lexington on the campus of Baruch College. NBA Elias prefer a place here instead of a place like Billionaires Row. Yeah, I mean, I love it too. I mean, who knows? Maybe this live stream will be single-handedly responsible for a new bull market in Sutton Place. Because as a lot of you guys know, which we've been talking about, Sutton Place has actually been taking a massive beating in terms of its valuations for real estate, because there's a lot of co-ops here. And a lot of people don't want to be all the way on the east side anymore. They don't want to live in these co-ops. They want all the condos. They want the glitz and glam. So maybe this will have a little bit of a sector neighborhood rotation out of some of the ritzy condos into the more quaint and beautiful co-ops here at Sutton Place. You never know. If you go on Street Easy or Zillow, you can find some pretty nice places for like $1,000 a foot. It's pretty cheap. Maybe even like $950, $980, but like $1,000 a foot is very doable in this neighborhood. Now, the only thing you need to watch out for, a lot of times the common charges are very high because the buildings are older. But it's so quiet, right? You don't hear any sirens. And you're about a 10-minute walk to everything you need on Park Avenue, like the big business district. But it's like you kind of have peace. So you can go to work on Park Avenue, you know, where we just were, and then just walk 15 minutes, and you're kind of away from all the tourists, away from all the banter, if you will, in Midtown. And these trees are going to provide a really nice canopy. Obviously, it's still, you know, I know it's technically spring, but you get what I mean. It's still kind of winter. It's cold. So once all this stuff blooms, I mean, this is going to look really nice. This is the 59th Street Bridge. JSNX. This is Tom. I'm eyeing an Upper East Side apartment for sale for $880K, but the HOA is $9,000 per month. Insane. It's probably a condop. A lot of times when you see those insane monthlies, if you check, and again, I don't know the building you're talking about. If you email it to me, I'll let you know. But if I had to guess, like 50-50 shot, I'd probably say it's a condop. All right. This is my favorite shot of Sutton Place. Look at those townhouses, guys. I mean, that is amazing. That'd be a huge flex to be able to say you own. Oh yeah, where's your house? Right here at Sutton Place. Beautiful facades. Hey, JC is here. What's up? Sure you were enjoying the little rally in Bitcoin. Looks like we're testing that 50-day moving average. think we're about ready to gap and go here. When I come back from Miami, I'll be sure to film the sunrise here, just so you guys can see what the neighborhood looks like when the sun is rising. Someone says, is those exempt from outdoor fire escapes? They'll probably have them in the back. Some of them are protected, so you can't make any alterations or adjustments or changes to the facade. Wait for the light. Hey, Grandma on the Goes is new to this channel, watching from California. Thank you for showing beautiful New York City. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I wouldn't mind going to LA or Santa Monica. Oh, if anybody is looking for a really nice, one-of-a-kind Frank Gehry loft, my friend is selling her beautiful Frank Gehry loft right on the water in Santa Monica, California. Let me know if you're interested in it. It's a one-of-a-kind piece. All right, we're now transitioning to Sutton Place South. And we're going to cross, not here, one more. We'll cross on East 55th Street. And we'll head on that park again. Stan says, oh wow, I love Santa Monica. Yeah, let me know if you know anybody. MD says, Tom, what's the list price? I think 2.5. It's off market. It's off market now, but I think 2.5. It's crazy because something like that in New York would be like $5 million bucks. All right, here we are, round two. You guys are gonna love this. For those of you who missed the live stream 2 days ago, you're really gonna enjoy this. Hey, Tariq Khan, thank you so much for your very generous $20 donations. Is AI, will there be a blue and a red version of AI as folks migrate from religion to other stuffs? What do you mean a blue and a red version of AI? Like political? Like Democrat and Republican version of AI? Maybe. However, I have an interesting theory about AI. But Tariq, thank you for your donation. Appreciate the support. As we come up on the East River Park. This is all brand new, by the way. I think in a few years, and actually let me rephrase that. It's not my theory. This is Elon Musk's theory. I think AI is going to be so smart that all of our worries about the woke AI stuff, right, with Google's Gemini, everybody had a big fit, a big heyday about how Google's Gemini was woke. I think AI is going to be so smart where it's going to decipher the nonsense from the reality. And it's going to be able to be the ultimate truth teller. Because if what everyone says is correct about AI, that it's going to become smarter than all of humanity. Well, okay, if that's true, then if it's smarter than all of humanity combined, well then wouldn't it be the most truthful sentient being ever? Because I don't think you could have it both ways. I don't think you could have AI being the smarter than all of humanity combined and then being some, diabolical, hellscape. I don't think you could have it both ways. I believe that's what a lot of the, perpetual fear people will say, right? Because they just want to drive fear and drive clicks. But I think it'll work itself out. All right, we are now walking over the FDR. Let me put my hood up. It's actually windy up here. Joe Beast, maybe AI should replace politicians. They actually may replace politicians. Speaking of politicians, this big building in the distance, that is the United Nations. Hey, hang with Mark Mom. It's always a pleasure to see you. We're just checking out the elevated East River Park again. Steve Cohen. Let's talk about Steve Cohen for a minute. Does everybody know who Steve Cohen is? As we're looking at the World Trade Center. Lots of traffic on the FDR, by the way. Lots of traffic today. Now, Steve Cohen is the CEO and founder of Point72 Asset Management. Also, many people know him for being the owner of the New York Mets. But did anybody see his take on artificial intelligence as it relates to the workforce? Did anybody see that? Man, this view is awesome. Right here, you can see the spire of the World Trade Center. But essentially he said with AI, it's going to pretty much by default instate a 4-day work week in America. Who agrees or disagrees with that? Do you think artificial intelligence is going to have that much of an impact on our everyday lives that humans just won't have anything to do? So we're going to have a automatic 4-day work week? Who knows? The Snagler is here. So just tuned in. Which street did you take to get to this location of East River Park? So we came right here. I believe this is 53rd Street or 54th, all the way on the east side. So just walk all the way until you can't walk any further, and you'll reach it. All wise hours is eventually, that's the goal. I mean, who knows? I mean, things change, right? Things change, and I think in general things tend to change for the better. My take is, if AI, and let's actually extend artificial intelligence to robotics as well. So let's just say AI and robotics. Would it be that bad if AI and robotics replaces all these very strenuous and manual labor intensive what's it called? Jobs like factory jobs? Would that be like that bad? I don't know if that would be like the end of the world. If anything, I think that would help humanity. Trade brigades, as I disagree with the take. Think about email as a technology. Humans will still find a way to work 40-plus hour weeks. It's a good point. You know, trade brigade, to that point, I'll tell you a quick story. And I'm sure this will resonate with you and many people in the chat. I'm sure everybody remembers the pandemic with, everybody having to work remote, right? And everyone was like, oh, this is so great. This is so fun. We're all going to work remote. I mean, I remember I was excited. I didn't have to go into the office in Manhattan. I could chill in my apartment. But what I found is that I was working going from probably about 65 hours a week to almost 80 hours a week. Because essentially when everybody is working remote, right, your boss doesn't have to leave the office and commute home, and then when he's commuting, he's not sending emails. But your boss is always around the house. He's cooking dinner, he's by his phone, he's sending emails. Your clients, they're cooking dinner, they're by their phone, they're sending emails. So there's no break in the day, like at all. You know, people are sitting on their couch, multitasking. I think the general commute is kind of what put a stop to the workday at 5 o'clock at night, right? If you're in sales, you would work till like 7 o'clock at night. But I think you get the point, right? If your boss and if your clients are all working remote, there's no structural break in the day at all. So I was getting emails and expected to reply to emails at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, like on a regular basis. There was no break. So if anything, the remote work stuff, when everybody says it was going to kill productivity, I mean, you squeeze the life out of your employees. At least that's what happened in my experience. I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but in my experience, I wound up working way more with the pandemic. Mel says, no, I turned off my phone at 5:30. I wish. I would have been fired and lost all my deals. Troy Atmans is very true. It was cool at first and then it turned into a nightmare for sure. Trade Brigades. Tom, check out the book, More Work for Mother. Great read on the subject. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. Yeah, John Sunderland is so windy. It's still windy out. It sucks. Not on my mic, unfortunately. Let's try to get off this bridge. I wanted to take you guys all the way down, but I think it's going to be too windy. We probably have too much wind noise in the mic. Adrian says that's exactly what happened to me. Keith says, Tom, Cornell Tech is to your right on Roosevelt Island. Oh, right here? Let me see. That's cool. I didn't know that. See the Roosevelt Island Racket Club too. Tim says, Tom, what bridge is that? This is the one and only 59th Street Bridge. Alright, let's try to walk off because I think it's going to be too windy, I think. But we'll see. I think I'm in the camp that AI is going to be a net positive on society. I don't believe that it's going to be a net negative like many people think. New technologies are new, so they scare people a little bit. Hey, Trade Brigade, take it easy. Thanks so much. And let's prepare for a very interesting trading session tomorrow. You know, usually at first humans are very resistant to new technological changes, right? Because we're creatures of habit. So in general, I always like to kind of lean into, you know, this dystopian society. What usually generally tends to happen is in the next 10 years, you have a massive build out in an innovative, disruptive technology. And the people who leaned into the innovation made a fortune, and the people who didn't, they were left behind. I mean, think about the internet. You can kind of argue that the internet is just almost fully built out right now, right? From 1995, give or take, to now, it's totally fully built out. AI is just getting started. So this could be, a 20-year cycle. It's not uncommon that this could be a 20-year cycle. Katie L's, Tom, I had a panic attack one night during the pandemic due to overworking from home and dealing with 2 kids that had remote learning. Oh my God, I can only imagine that. They didn't know how to use the computer at the time. Now think about that, right? Think about what Katie L is saying. Now, I didn't have that experience because I don't have kids, but think about all of the parents out there that had to take on not only their fully remote work job, which they were being overworked there, right? But also they had to take on the job of being a teacher. Because let's face it, right? And again, correct me if I'm wrong. Everybody in the chat who has kids, please correct me if I'm wrong. But I'm speaking from my experience as being a kid. If this pandemic happened when I was in high school, just knowing myself, I honestly don't know if I would have graduated. Just knowing my personality and knowing, at times what a little hellraiser I could be, I honestly don't know if I would have made it through. I would have just totally goofed off. Because if you give a kid a computer and throw it at him and say, okay, just do it and listen to your teacher on a computer screen, zero chance of that happening. I mean, I could barely even pay attention to the teacher when she was 20 feet in front of me, in the remedial English and math classes. It just wasn't happening. So in that aspect, I mean, imagine being a parent, working a full-time remote job and having to be a teacher to your kid. I mean, what a nightmare that is. It's a very good point. This Sibelius is absolutely insane. My son played Call of Duty all day. Jeez. Sharon says, I became a hermit during the pandemic. But once I went to college in person, I realized how much I appreciate socializing and meeting new people. Totally agree. Tyler says California is working on a law banning employers from contacting employees after hours. I heard about that. I think that's a disastrous law. Hey, 5 bags of popcorn. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Appreciate it. All right, let's head back into Midtown now. It's the old saying, right? Kind of pivoting back to AI. People severely overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but severely underestimate what they can do in 10. I think that's how the saying goes, right? Severely overestimate what you can do in 1 year, but severely underestimate what you can do in 10. And that's so true in anything. I think that's why many people quit just on things in general. They'll try something for a year, they don't really see any success, and then they just quit. But you have to stay in it for duration, right? Duration is everything. And it's the same thing with technology. I think the perfect example now is kind of that Apple Vision Pro and all of these other VR, AR headsets, right? A lot of people are memeing and kind of mocking how stupid the Apple Vision Pro looks. But guys, you have to see the bigger picture. the bigger vision here. This is like the first product they've put out, right? This is Apple's first product with the Vision Pro. Could you imagine what the Generation 10 edition is going to be like? You know, this is going to be the worst the product ever is. And I think that's important to pay attention to. So you can kind of mend that to your own life. So if you're at something for like 6 months to a year, you know, don't expect any material progress. The progress is building underground. It's mounting up underground. Where you really start to see things take off is year 3 and 4 of whatever venture you're doing, for the most part. Hang with Mark Mom says these new graduates that survived the pandemic lockdown are having difficulties landing a job. They lack interview/social skills. Yeah, it's unfortunate because all of my success in business I can attribute to having mentors at work. Like when I started off as an account executive, sales essentially, there's no way, like zero, the probability was zero. You know, I would have ever been a top performer or have grown into a top performer if I wasn't in the office all day, you know, the first one to arrive, the last one to leave, and getting around all of the top people in the office. It just wouldn't have happened. So for younger generations, it's important to be in the office. I even think if you're, you know, just graduating college and your boss gives you the option to work remote, you probably shouldn't. You should really go into the office every day because that's how you're going to learn, right? You shouldn't prioritize work-life balance when you're young. You should prioritize learning and acquiring new skills. And the only way you're going to do that is by getting around seniors within the organization that have built successful businesses, right? And that are really successful. That's why, you know, in the investment banking culture, everybody's in the office all the time, right? You work on teams. In consulting, same thing, right? If anybody's ever worked in management consulting, it's the same thing. It's very, very difficult to kind of climb that corporate ladder and get mentorship from afar. It's almost impossible. Almost impossible. Now, I won't speak for everybody, so I'll revise my statement. It's impossible for me. There's no way in hell I would have been as successful in my career as I've been if it wasn't for other people. Like the probability is absolutely zero. I don't know, does anybody agree with that? Disagree? Especially in a city like New York where everything is super hyper competitive. You know, a lot of people like to knock New York, especially now that we have all the crime and everything, but the reality is this. The smartest, most educated, hardworking, competitive people, they come to New York City to work at some of the most prestigious institutions, and they come here to build their businesses, by and large. So this is like you're playing in the NFL. If you go to work in New York City, right? All the top talent is here, particularly if you're in the financial business, right? If you're in the hedge fund business, the investment banking business, this is it. Like, this is the NFL. This is the NBA. And if you have the opportunity to be in the office all the time, you know, working 80 hours a week, you should take advantage of that, because that's going to be your network for the rest of your life. And that's one of the reasons why New York City is so expensive, because this is the place to be for competition and business. Sal says, Tom, kids are reluctant to work and grind. Been pampered since birth. I don't know. I'm kind of have mixed feelings about that take. every generation kind of makes fun of the previous generation. There's a lot of Gen Zs that are hustlers. There's a lot of Gen Zs that are unbelievable hustlers. Their hustle just may be a little bit different from our hustle, right? They're more savvy, they're more tech savvy. They're more, I'd like to think a lot of them are operators, right? They use technology to their advantage. Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a little bit of truth to that. However, if you go back throughout history, I'm sure every generation says the previous generation is a little bit softer, right? Who knows? Here it is, everybody. This is the Lipstick Building. It is kind of a unique building, though, right? Hang with Mark Mom says, Tom, New York is highly competitive. That's why we call it the rat race. We fight to get ahead, for sure. 100%. Agreed. If you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams almost every day starting at 8:30. Gene S says Gen Z has to hustle. They're going where there is no pattern. Caddy says, read the book, The Anxious Generation by John. Let me take a screenshot. Thank you so much for that book recommendation, by the way. Yeah, if you guys have any good book recommendations, please feel free to share it with the group. Rockstar says, for me, I don't think about competition. I'm focused on my process/system and let my probabilities play out. It's pretty good too. Brad's Brain says, no, Tom, I get your point, but the worker coming into the office isn't just soft. They literally can. Oh, they can't do it? Ask any hiring managers. Turnover is crazy because they aren't happy. Really? Wow. That's an interesting perspective. Let's get out of the way of this guy. Isabella says, your recommendation of Atomic Habits was an amazing read. That is an amazing read. If anybody is starting a new venture in anything, right? It could even be you're learning to play golf, or you're learning to play soccer, or you're learning to cook. If you sit down, like take a whole weekend, right? I would honestly recommend this. If you allocate one weekend, right, block out your entire schedule, sit down, go to a coffee shop or whatever, stay in a nice hotel, just get away from everybody. And if you read that book and actually apply it and become like almost brainwashed and apply those principles in that book, you're gonna be unstoppable. Like just and check your progress in a year, you're gonna be a machine. We're coming up on the easternmost side of the Seagram building. Look at this restaurant here. Looks fancy in there. Kind of make the analogy with compound interest. So if you go to Google, right, if you open up another web browser right now and you just type in compound interest calculator, I want you to go ahead and do that and put the starting balance as $10,000, right? Just put a $10,000 starting balance in the compound interest calculator. Put the annual interest at 5%. Nothing crazy, just put it at 5%. And then for the duration, put 40 years. And see how much money, $10,000, just 10 grand, compounds out over 40 years at 5% without adding any additional funds, right? It's a lot of money. It's the same thing with any specific skill set. You know, for the first 5 years that $10,000 compounds, it's no money. It like doesn't even move the needle. But in year 35, year 36, year 37, year 38, it is a huge, huge number. And it's the same thing with anything else, right? You know, Warren Buffett made I think Warren Buffett made the majority of his money after the age of 55, right? So you have to stick with things for duration. A lot of people just pick up a new hobby or a new job. They stick with it for 2 years and then they complain about their boss. They say, oh, it's too hard of an environment, this and that. You know, it's not what it used to be. You know, the compensation plan changed, yada, yada, yada. And then they quit, they find something else, they get spun out, and then they do the whole process over again. But if they just stuck with it, right, through the highs, through the lows, and stuck with it, you'd make a fortune. It's the same exact thing in the market, right? When the market's going up, everybody and their mother is interested in the stock market. Oh, what about this stock? What about that stock? But once we get a bear market, once we get a correction, it flushes everybody out. And the people who stick with it through duration, those are the ones who make the money. You know, I've actually noticed it, by the way, you know, just as a little bit of anecdotal data, I actually notice it through the trends in my email. You know, we've been doing this live stream, I think like 2 years now, maybe a little over 2.5 years. There is a direct correlation between the amount of emails I get in bull and bear markets. When the market is going gangbusters every day, I have people emailing me almost every day about, oh, what about this stock? What about that stock? What about this stock? What about that stock? But when we're in a severe bear, crickets. And right when we're making the transition from a bear to a bull, it's crickets. And that's the exact time you should be doubling down. You know, looking at those leading stocks. Which stocks are leading, making new 52-week highs and new all-time record highs when the general market is in a downtrend? Those are the stocks that have the institutional sponsorship, right? So you need to almost brainwash yourself and train yourself to double down when there's adversity, right? When things are very boring, when nothing's going the right way, that's when you should be tripling and doubling down on your efforts. But it's tough. It's very, very tough to do that, but you've got to do it. And that's kind of what's it called? It's kind of what the book is about, Atomic Habits. Just stick with things through duration, in perpetuity forever, right? If we're lucky, we'll live till 75 or 80. So you might as well not quit on anything, because there's going to come a day where you're going to be forced to quit, and that day is when you die. So quit then. You know, when you die, quit. But when you're here on earth, when your heart's still pumping, just stick with it, in perpetuity forever, every day, and just never quit. Oh, that's right, Surf's Flat Traders, so the non-farm payrolls are tomorrow. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting to see. Yeah, we get non-farm payrolls tomorrow, and we also get the unemployment rate. I should say the new updated unemployment rate is going to be coming out tomorrow. But, you know, we heard from Neil Kashkari today, and, you know, we briefly talked about this earlier in the live stream. But, you know, he's been saying what we've all been saying, right? this is a pretty sick car. Has the Amazon AWS logo on it. He says we need to see more data that supports inflation coming back down to our 2% target before we can start to even think about cutting interest rates, which I think I agree. Now, speaking of Amazon AWS, there was a big announcement today that they're going to be laying off hundreds of employees. Did anybody hear that? Coming out of AWS. I saw that come across Bloomberg today. There's going to be layoffs in marketing and in the sales department at AWS. Hey, Mohammed, what's up? All right. Hang with Mark Baum. This is Tom. Once you learn AWS and are certified, other companies will grab you for work. Very interesting. All right, everybody. Well, I have to cut the stream short tonight because I have to be up very early. Got to go to the airport. But if you enjoyed our time here in New York City, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. If you like our financial conversations, feel free to sign up for our free investing newsletter by scanning the QR code on your screen and punching in your email. And that'll bring you to our Substack. If you can't scan the QR code, you can just type !news, NEWS in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our newsletter. So signing off, I will see you all on Monday, live from downtown Miami. Thank you so much, and we will see you soon, hopefully in better weather. Take care.